So we are starting, and we're going from chapter 11, verse 13 onwards, unto verse 55. So I'm starting here with verse 13, readings from Prabhupada's 1972 as it is version. Translation. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands.
Text 14. Then bewildered and astonished, his head standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisance to the Supreme Lord.
15. Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva, and many sages and divine serpents.
Text 16. O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal body many, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes, expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, and there is no middle to all of this.
Text 17. Your form, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs, is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence. It is fiery and immeasurable like the sun.
Text 18. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the best of all the universes. You are inexhaustible and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of religion, the eternal personality of Godhead.
Text 19. You are the origin without beginning, middle, or end. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. By your own radiance, you are heating this entire universe.
Text 20. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all the planetary systems are perplexed.
Text 21. All the demigods are surrendering and entering into you. They are very much afraid, and with folded hands they are singing the Vedic hymns.
Text 22. The different manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vishvadevas, the two Ashwins, the Maruts, the forefathers, and the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, Asuras, and all perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder.
Text 23. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your many faces, eyes, arms, bellies, and legs, and your terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I.
Text 24. O all pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain your equilibrium.
My equilibrium. Sorry, it's my.
My equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies, beholding your eyes and mouths, I am afraid.
Text 25. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing, death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions, I am bewildered.
Text 26 and 27. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with the allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and all our soldiers are rushing into your mouths, their heads smashed by your fearful teeth. I see that some are being crushed between your teeth as well.
Text 28. As the rivers flows into the sea, so all these great warriors enter your blazing mouths and perish.
Just as a small question here, what, for extra credit, what verse from the first canto of the Bhagavatam does this verse sort of resemble? It uses a similar imagery.
Text 29.
Of this one that we're just read, the one that Golokananda Priya,
Yeah,
text
that
28.
one for the all the various I think Krishna's to Bhagwan Swam, that verse is there in that range. Like many incarnations of the Lord are there, like
Maybe.
rivulets
That's a
of
good
the
one. I
ocean.
was thinking of another one that's more, I think that has a much, a more direct resemblance in terms of the imagery that's being used here. Any other ideas?
All the expansion of Krishna.
As the rivers flow into the sea. Who uses the analogy of rivers flowing into the sea? A famous prayer in one of the
And one
chapters.
analogy of the gopis pray, right? Just as rivers flow into the sea, the minds also
In the
enter
first canto,
into.
because gopis are not mentioned so much, I don't think at all in the first canto. In the first canto, okay, Queen Kunti, right? As rivers flow into the ocean, let my attention be directed towards you only, right?
Yeah, the prayers of Queen.
Now I have a doubt. I mean, she does say that, right?
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but I know that was, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the teachings of Queen Kunti. I'm almost sure. Anyway, I'm not finding here when I type. Let me put Bhagavatam. Sorry to interrupt, but this is nice. Prayers by Queen Kunti, and here we go. She says, "You yourself sent to propagate. Let me offer my respectful obeisances. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Master of the senses. Now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashmatama. I wish that all calamities would happen again and again." Super famous verse. Here, let me share with you where I'm looking. There you go. My obeisances are unto you. I consider your lordship to be eternal time. No one can understand your transcendental pastimes. It is bewildering that you work though you are inactive. Yashoda took up a rope to bind you. Some say the unborn is born for the glorification of the pious kings. You take your birth for their welfare. Come on. Others say that, well, this is purifying for us. But others say the world being overburdened like a boat at sea is much aggrieved. Yet others say you appear to rejuvenate the devotional service. Those who continually hear certainly see your lotus feet. You are leaving us today. Oh, Krishna Chaitanya, our kingdom is now being marked. All these cities and hills. Sever my ties of affection. I think it's coming here. Here we go. Oh Lord. God, thank you, Krishna. I'm not going senile yet. Text 42. O Lord of Madhu, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So it's interesting, huh? Similar here, as rivers flow into the sea, but here it's not a question of devotion to Krishna being uninterrupted. Here, as you know, it's the warriors entering into the bleeding mouths and of the universal form. Okay, you read this, right, Golokananda Priya? Yeah. Okay, so text 29 is me. Text 29. I see all people rushing with full speed into your mouths as moths dash into a blazing fire.
Text 30. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people in your flaming mouths and covering the universe with your immeasurable rays. Scorching the worlds, you are manifest.
Text 31. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. I do not know what your mission is, and I desire to hear of it.
So what's the mission of the Lord in Kali Yuga?
Kali Yuga to spread
Harinam Sankirtan.
Sankirtan movement.
Jai. Next 32. The Blessed Lord said, Time I am, destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain.
Text 33. Therefore, get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savisachi, can be but an instrument in the fight.
Text 34. The Blessed Lord said, all the great warriors, Drona, Bhisma, Jayadratha, Karna, are already destroyed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies.
Can we go back to the verse just before that, to verse 33, if you don't mind? This very famous sentence, Nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Yeah, are you familiar with that one sentence?
No.
Did you, and any of you know it by heart before?
That one phrase, I know that one single phrase.
Yeah, that one sentence, Nimitta matram bhava
Yeah.
savyasachin. You familiar as a one sentence?
Yeah.
That's a super famous verse, a statement from that verse. I think Prabhupada quotes it in some purport of this Gita, but and this really applies to us as outreach workers, you know, as servants of Lord Chaitanya who want to spread the holy name, who want to spread Krishna consciousness as much as possible in the world. You know, Krishna says here, you know, be my instrument, and that's what we should be living for. We should be living to be the best possible instruments in the hands of Lord Chaitanya before we leave our bodies. You know, we should really pray to Lord Chaitanya that he uses us, you know, every single drop of blood, every single breath, every single coin and bill that we have, every single IQ point that we have. I mean, everything, manasa, deha, geha, everything that we have, we should pray that the Lord empowers us and that we can engage that as an instrument to his saving, you know, saving other souls. So super important verse, very important meditation. You know, you can be an instrument. I've already killed these people. They're already dead by my arrangement, but you can gain glory. Not that we're doing this for glory, but you can gain glory in the sense of you can get the so-called credit, although the credit ultimately comes to me, but you can have the credit for having been the instrument in my hands. So similarly, you know, in Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, you know this as much as I do, we want to be the instruments to Lord Chaitanya. We want to approach Lord Chaitanya, the gardener, and say, please do not worry, my Lord. You know that passage in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Lord Chaitanya says, I am a gardener, I only have 2 hands, but I have all these fruits. How will I distribute them? Right? And then I think it's Haridas Thakur says, do not be worried, but you know, don't worry, my Lord. Like, don't worry. I'm here for you. I'll alleviate your anxiety for the suffering of conditioned souls. I'll assist you in distributing these fruits. Please don't worry. You know, don't be in anxiety. So that should be the goal of our life. You know, and that translates into being or becoming, by Krishna's empowerment, the best possible instruments in his hands to be conduits, to be fresh, clean, unalloyed. And here's the case to use the word unalloyed, right? Unalloyed metal, not with impurities, but unalloyed copper, excuse me, so that the electricity flows in the most efficient way, conduits of Lord Chaitanya's mercy to others. Because, you know, we're going to die soon. I mean, soon, whether it's in 50 years or 70 years or, you know, 70 days. So everything we have is ultimately temporary, and we can't take anything with us except our consciousness. But what we can do is help others, you know, take their steps towards Krishna, right? So it can be an instrument in the fight. Jai, next verse. Verse
34 is
34.
35, sorry.
Oh, yes. 35. Verse 35. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances with folded hands, and began falteringly to speak as follows.
Text 36. Arjuna said, O Rishikesha, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you the respectful homage, the demons are afraid, and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done.
Let me interrupt you here again. I wanted to show you how this verse is an example of something that I talked about in my dissertation, my master's dissertation. When I did my master's degree, I wrote my dissertation on Prabhupada and Kirtan, okay? And one thing that I noticed when I was really looking at Prabhupada's translations, like word for word translations of many of his verses and purports, was that Prabhupada was really, we could say, a holy name fanatic. And a holy name fanatic in the sense that he took every possible opportunity to speak about the holy name of Krishna, even when, and we have no problems with him doing that because we have faith that he's Shaktavesh avatar, he's the Senapati Bhakta of Lord Chaitanya. So, hey, no problem, suit yourself, But he used any opportunity to emphasize the holy name of Krishna specifically, even though the wording, the original Sanskrit, may not even mention that. And here's a great example. When you look at Prabhupada's translation, right, he says, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, right? That's what we have. The world becomes happy upon hearing your holy name, correct? Now, when you look at the word-for-word translation, where is there the word nam, or, where is there a mention of the name? What's mentioned is the word prakirtya, right? Specifically, which, interestingly enough, in the word-for-word translation, Prabhupada himself doesn't translate as the holy name, but translates as glories, right? And if I may, when you look at Hridayananda Maharaj's literal translation, here you see it, right? Do you see the text on black background?
Yes.
Rightly, Rishikesh, the world rejoices at your glory, which is similar, which is exactly what Prabhupada translates when Prabhupada uses the word-for-word translation, which is glory. So Hridayananda Maharaj translates. So we could say that Prabhupada translates the word parakritya literally, glories. But then, Prabhupada goes into ecstasy, we could say, ecstasy of the holy name. And then in the translation, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name. Not your glory, but your name. Of course, we believe, we understand theologically there's no difference between the glories and the holy name, and Krishna's form and name is all the same. But we should be spiritually entertained and endeared to Prabhupada when we see these small little choices that are specifically made by Prabhupada as a way to get to know Prabhupada better and to kind of go into Prabhupada's mind almost and to recognize his mood, by the very choice of words that he uses. I find it fascinating.
Yes.
Even one more thing, like Prabhupada, mostly he referred the Baldev Vidyabhushan as Gita Bhushan, right? For Bhagavad Gita. So even if we compare most of the things like words by words, the commentary of both the acharyas, there's some interesting subtleties that Prabhupada actually adds somewhere. Like he gives the commentary most of the times maybe same as what Baldev Vidyabhushan must have given, but then some points he adds certain things which is very much relevant and something quite distinct from what the traditional commentary may be. So he adds some nuances to it, even though he maintains the what was parampara.
So that's like very much like a unique Prabhupada thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're, we can't see Prabhupada. I mean, we've never seen him physically, and so we're bereft of that experience of being able to have said, yeah, I saw Prabhupada walking in the airport in Los Angeles in 1973, or he got into his car and he looked at me in the eyes, or I saw Prabhupada playing. Like I was listening to a lecture of Indra Swami. He was saying, what made him join the movement was when he saw Prabhupada play kartals. Like according to him, Prabhupada was so mesmerizing that he joined ISKCON because of that. We don't have that privilege. But it seems like Krishna allows us to get to know Prabhupada very intimately in cases like these. What to speak, of course, when we read his purports. He said, my purports are my emotional ecstasies. So, okay, back to the verse. I read it, right? O Rishikesh, the world becomes joyful.
No, that,
Huh?
yeah.
Who?
Vignesh read that.
Vignesh
I have
read
to
that.
Right
read
there.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. O great one, who stand above even Brahma, you are the original master. Why should they not offer their homage to you, O limitless one? O refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to the material manifestation.
Next verse. Verse 38. You are the original personality, the Godhead. Let me see how, I'm just curious, how does Rita and Anwar translate this one? Let me share this with you here. How does Rita and Anwar translate verse 38? Original God, you are the primeval person. You are the supreme resting place of this universe, the knower, the knowable, the supreme abode. You pervade the universe, O infinite form. Oh yeah, we asked this question about Ananta Rupa. So back to Prabhupada's translation. You are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes. O limitless form, right? Ananta Rupa. This whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Okay, next verse.
Text 39. You are air, fire, water, and you are the moon. You are the supreme controller and the grandfather. Thus I offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, and again at again.
Text 40. Obeisances from the front, from behind, from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all pervading, and thus you are everything.
Next verse. Text 41 and 42. I have in the past addressed you as Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without knowing your glories. Please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying on the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses.
Text 43. You are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation, the worshipable chief, the spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. Within the three worlds, you are immeasurable.
Text 44. You are the Supreme Lord, to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respect and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I have done to you, and bear with me as a father with his son, or a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved.
Wow. This just strikes me, because I told you, like, I'm a little bit of a family argument with Madhavendra Puri Prabhu. And let's just see the verse. Just see. Bear with me as a friend with his friend. Just see. Next verse, text 45. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe.
Text 46. O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form, with helmeted head and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form.
Text 47. The Blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, happily do I show you this universal form within the material world by my internal potency. No one before you has ever seen this unlimited and glaringly effulgent form.
My turn, I'm sorry. Text 48. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. Now it's interesting though, because like there's some Christian mystic testimonies. Like I read in a book called Beyond Physicalism. If Vignesh or Golokananda Priya, if you're interested in the topic of consciousness and here, let me show you Beyond Physicalism. This is a really, really, really darn good book. If you have the patience and the attraction for this. This guy here, Edward Kelly, he wrote this big, massive book, this thick, called Irreducible Mind in 2009, where he gathers all, literally, like practically every single case of out-of-body experiences, children who remember their past lives, telekinesis, levitation, the stigmata, like all the rogue phenomena that the physicalist paradigm is unable to explain. And then he wrote subsequent books called Beyond Physicalism, and this last one is called Consciousness Unbound. And why am I mentioning this? Oh, because in one of these books, he refers to one Christian mystic, I forgot, in the Middle Ages sometime, who claims, and who describes the kind of experience that Arjuna is describing. Like he saw everything, past, present, and future, in one vision. So maybe, I'm just speculating here, maybe Krishna allows, not just Arjuna, but sometimes allows other devoted souls to have a similar experience. But anyway, here at least he says, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifice, nor by charities or similar activities, can this form be seen. Only you have seen this.
Anyway, like Krishna was telling this 5,000 years ago, right? So
Right, it was
the
before.
person must have seen it later.
Exactly. Good one.
Text 49. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all the disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire.
Text 50. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-arm form, and at last he showed him his two-arm form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna.
So here, remember, I asked you a question about this. Now, I have to admit publicly, I already did to Vignesh, and I'm sorry, Golokananda Priya, I didn't have time to read your questions this week. So I'm sorry. Well, I had time, but it was so hectic. So I apologize, and I'm saying this because I know at least that there's one question I asked you about the four-handed, right? But I don't know what you answered. I feel ashamed. Like, did Arjuna get to see the four-handed form at all or not?
Yeah, that's why you asked this question.
Well, because look, I mean, I asked the question because it's ambiguous. Like when you look at the literal translation again, and I want to trust Hridayan Anandamaharaj here, not even as a spiritual leader or as a spiritual guru, which I think he is, but just as a the person who got his degree in Sanskrit faster than anyone in the history of the Sanskrit department of Harvard University. Someone who's definitely a gifted Sanskritist. And so let's just compare the translation here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, you're seeing it, right? I'm sharing the right screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Displayed his real four-arm form. And then at last showed his two-arm form, right? So, but is there mention that he showed his four-arm form? And when you look at Hridayan Anandamaharaj's translation, text 50, let me share that. Here in 50, doesn't seem like Krishna does that. Sanjaya said, thus speaking to Arjuna and calming that fearful one, the great soul, Vasudeva, revealed his very own form, assuming again a sublime, beautiful body. Right? So, it implies what? That he showed his two-handed form for sure, but did Krishna first show his four-handed form and then transfer to, we believe that he did because Prabhupada said he did. So, we're not doubting Prabhupada here. We're not questioning Prabhupada. If Prabhupada saw it as such, we have enough faith in Prabhupada that must have been how Krishna revealed himself to Arjuna. But from a sort of a scholarly, Sanskrit based, like, let's see exactly what Krishna actually says. What's actually in the available Sanskrit that, the book called the Bhagavad Gita says, and it seems like in the original, I wish I was a Sanskrit scholar. I remember I was with Burijan Prabhu. He was teaching. Have you heard of Burijan Prabhu, Vignesh, or Golokananda Priya? You probably heard of Burijan, right?
Yeah, we already heard of it. All the time, Madhavendra Prabhu mentioned his name.
Oh, yeah. Well, one time he said, I hope that in my next life I can know Sanskrit. And there's something really cool about being able to really look at the Sanskrit words, and it's not for me in this life, but here, there's no mention.
Easy because he knows Hindi. For Vignesh, it should be easy because he knows Hindi.
Right. But look at here, Sanjaya Uvacha, nothing about four arms or two arms, or Arjuna, certainly not. Vasudev, no. Tata, no. Uktva, no. Svakam. So Svakam is his own, right? So, is that two hands or forearm? Then Rupam, okay, form. Darshayamasa showed, Bhuya again, Asvasayamasa, convinced him, Cha Bhitam Enam Bhutva Punaha, becoming again Somya Vapu. The only thing we have is Somya Vapu, and we can pretty clearly conclude that the Somya Vapu par excellence is that of Shyamasundar or Govinda. No question. But Prabhupada makes this really far-out claim here, and we accept it. That's Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita translation, that he first displayed his real four-arm form and then went to his Somya Vapu. Interesting.
No, I was just referring this, like Swakam Rupam should be the four-handed form.
Which one?
The Swakam Rupam.
Which one?
The Swakam Rupam.
Sukam Rupam. Where do you see Sukam Rupam?
Swakam Rupam.
Oh, Swakam. Okay.
Swakam Rupam should be 400 form.
Why?
It mentions, right? Swakam Rupam Darshayam. So he showed the Swakam Rupam.
Yeah.
Swakam Rupam.
Then again it mentions Bhutva Punaha. Punaha means again. Now again means he has to show some other form.
Acha.
Otherwise the word Puna is redundant. I feel so.
Acha. So let's go. That's very interesting. So let's see how Ridhana Marsh translates this. I'm curious now with that piece of knowledge. Thus speaking to Arjuna and calming that fearful one, the great soul, because that's probably from the Sanskrit. I know, where is the great soul? Why? We'd have to ask him. Vasudev. Anyway, the great soul Vasudev revealed his very own form, assuming again. But you see, the again could mean assuming again, like he was before, with a two-handed form. You see, so that would be another alternative way to read it.
Actually, there is one confusion even for me. I will just tell you why. Because Krishna uses the word, Sanjay uses the word bhuya. That also means again. Bhuya means again. And again in the same verse, he uses another word again, punaha. There are two agains in the same verse. Now, actually, if you consider again and attach it to 400 form, that would mean that Arjuna has already seen 400 form. Now again he's showing the original form.
But he didn't see that four-handed before, right?
Yeah, maybe he's seen. Otherwise, why would Krishna say bhuya?
But why? Where in Gita does Arjuna? It's a good argument, but it would stand if Arjuna had already seen a four-handed form before. But where in
maybe
the Gita?
Seen, because what I've heard is that sometimes Krishna is in two-handed form in Vrindavan. Sometimes he also appears in Mathura as a four-handed form as well. So that is what Acharyas have commented. Krishna can be in two-handed form, and both are Manusha Rupam. Like what Acharyas say, they both can be there. Maybe Arjuna has seen that before.
Maybe
that's
Arjuna
why Krishna is using the word bhuya.
Oh, very interesting.
Anyway, he's an eternal associate, so he must have been seeing that. So,
great point.
I think different acharyas, they translate differently. Like, like we have so many other acharya, they have different interpretation or different verses.
Yeah, that's a great point you make.
Like Prabhupada is one of them. He has his own.
Fantastic.
Yeah, otherwise, the double again is actually redundant because you cannot use double again. The same describing the two different forms, because Arjuna was already seeing Krishna's 200 form.
Great. Very interesting. Well, let us go to the next one then, if we have 3 left. I think it's Vignesh's turn or Golokananda Priya?
You didn't say 49, I did 50 now. Yeah, it's yours now.
You did 50?
Yeah.
So 51 is me then?
Yeah.
Okay. 51, when Arjuna saw that, thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, seeing this human-like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified and I am restored to my original nature.
Text 52. The Blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear.
Text 53. The form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am.
Let's go just to 54, because 54, actually, we should have stopped at 54, because it's a cliffhanger. Arjuna is like, Krishna is like, this is not the way. So you want to ask, okay, well, what is the way to see him? And he gives in 54. So Read it again. Please read on 54 also, Golankananda Priya, please.
Okay. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding.
Jai. Actually, we only have a few more, right? I mean, the chapter ends, I think, at 55, if I'm not... Yeah, well, let's go to 55, because 55, what's really, really interesting, I mean, have you noticed one thing in the purport to 55 that that is amazing? Like an
Yeah,
amazing
long
declaration?
purport.
Huh? Well, the purport is long, but in this purport, it's true, but in this purport, there's one sentence that Prabhupada makes, which is like a jaw-dropping statement. And it's interesting because Prabhupada didn't quote this verse very often at all. You know, I don't know, did I ever share with you this document, most often quoted verses by Prabhupada? Does that ring a bell?
No, you never saw it.
Well, there's one devotee in Berkeley. I forget his name. He's an old-time brahmachari who works with the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And here we go. I'll share it to you. I'll send it to you right now through WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting PDF. Okay, I just sent it to you by WhatsApp. And it's called the Prabhupada Most Often Quoted Verses. And as the title says, you know, this devotee went through the Veda base and, you know, counted the times that Prabhupada quoted verse X or X verse Y the most. And so if you open the document, you see that, you know, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he quoted the most. And then in second position, you know, Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vrajam. And then, you know, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, like 4-9, he, you know, comes in third position. Then this Brahma Samhita verse, you know, Ishvara Parama Krishna comes in fourth position with 700 or more times. And Bahunam Jamanamante in 600 or more times. And there's, you know, several equally often quoted verses that he quoted, you know, 500 or more times, which is Brahma, you know, 1854, 213, 714, etc. So when you go down this list, nowhere this 1155 doesn't even make it on the list. Okay, 1855 is very, very seldom quoted by Prabhupada. It's not even the 180th. It doesn't even make it to 180th position. Okay, now what's the amazing thing that Prabhupada says in this verse, in the purport? Okay, it's really easy. It's the third sentence. Vignesh ji, read us the third sentence of the purport, please.
1155.
1155.
Yeah. It's the entire sentence. Should I read the starting? From starting?
Pardon me. Come again.
Should I read from the start?
No, just the third sentence.
Yeah. So,
I have it in the screen. I have highlighted.
yeah, the Bhagavad Gita is meant that one.
Therefore.
Yeah, therefore, this verse. Okay, steal it, Golokananda.
Okay,
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Somebody
therefore,
read
this
it.
verse. Therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita.
There you go. Where else in Bhagavad Gita as it is does Prabhupada make such a statement about any shloka in the Bhagavad Gita? Nowhere. Interesting, huh? There's only one verse in the whole Bhagavad Gita where Prabhupada makes this sentence, that it's to be the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. But paradoxically,
yeah, like you say, he never quoted it like we did.
That's what's it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if Prabhupada was here, I said, Prabhupada, I don't understand. Like, you know, I don't want to like criticize your preaching strategy, which is completely transcendental. But how come? Like in the Bhagavad Gita, 1855, you say it's the most important, it's the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. But in your lectures, you seldom quote it. I wonder what Prabhupada would say. shut up. Don't challenge. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what Prabhupada would say, but it's an interesting fact here.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is that I like this thing on this verse. This is just personally sarva bhuteshu, right? Nirvaira sarva bhuteshu. The third line, nirvaira sarva bhuteshu, without being friendly or not, no enemy, friendly to all, to every living entity. I love this because we as devotees, at least speaking for myself, are very far from the mark of being friendly with everybody, even with other devotees, what to speak of we tend to be nasty with others, that's just our tendency. But here the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada claims, includes this important third line of being friendly to every living entity. Wonderful. Want to say anything?
I'm just thinking sometimes some people hurt you so much, it's hard to be to be friendly to that person.
When what?
If somebody hurt you so badly and mistreat you so badly, it's hard to be friendly to that person.
Yeah.
And you really have to have like a very, very, very Krishna conscious to be on this stage.
I agree. Vignesh, you want to add something?
I was just thinking on the same point that you mentioned, like this verse is considered to be the essence. So I was just thinking why, like why Prabhupada didn't mention it quite often.
Why he didn't quote it often? Do you notice?
Maybe he's paraphrased quite a lot, but didn't exactly quote that.
Well, what is here? Let's probe into that. What verse from Rupa Goswami, like monumental verse from Rupa Goswami, resembles this verse very much, or at least?
Yeah, that's it.
Hmm? Yeah, I would say so also, Prabhu. You saw that Golokananda Priya?
Yeah.
Jnana karma nyanavritam, right? And here, free from the contamination of oh, it's interesting. Here in the 1972, it's from previous activities and mental speculation, whereas in the post, it's fruitive activities. But anyway, same thing. Yeah, so no karma and no jnana. So we could maybe claim that Rupa Goswami, took inspiration for his monumental, like, this is bhakti verse, Anya Bilashita Shunam, Jnana Karma Nyanavritam, from this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. It would be a pretty safe claim to make, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the only verse I think which is not directly taken from any other scripture. Rupa Goswami himself composed that, right? So
Very
I think
interesting.
it's taken from this only.
Wonderful. Prabhus, I suggest we take a 5 to 10 minute break, and then we'll go back and visit the questions and philosophically speculate for 45 minutes. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Jai.
Maybe Arjuna didn't understand what was the purpose of showing all these things. Or like all people entering into there, like the Shastra, and everyone is entering into the mouth. He was perplexed. Exactly what is the reason for showing all these things? So in that confusion, Arjuna asked that particular question, and Krishna in return replied that I am the time, just as time destroys everything. So I will destroy all the Kauravas, and you just need to be the instrument. Like ultimately, the will of Krishna is time. So when Krishna wills, that is exactly the influence of time, and already everything has been slain, by Krishna. So he just need to be the instrument. So I think it's in a way is giving the gravity to the power of Krishna. How everything is ultimately happening by the will of Lord. Only thing is that we need to just become the instrument of the Lord and act as per His desire.
Good. He's giving his own identity here too, right? He's saying, he's telling who he is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next one. Let's read together 33, 32, 33, 34. So I'll do the, I read Vignesh and then we'll look on the Priya. Therefore, get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachin, can be but an instrument in the fight. Okay.
All the great warriors, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, are already destroyed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies.
Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances with folded hands, and began faltering to speak as follows.
What I found significant about these three verses is that, okay, Arjuna is seeing this universal form, and then the first time, like, he asks Krishna, okay, who are you? And then Krishna actually, when you think about it, keeps it very simple and then gives him an instruction, right? Time I am, fight. So that's what I thought was significant.
It's very much dramatic, the way he asks the question and the way he answers.
Did you ever see Bhakti Marg Maharaja's dramas?
Yeah.
You've heard of Bhakti Marg Swami, Vignesh Prabhu?
Yeah, I have heard of him. Yeah.
But you never saw any of his productions, huh?
No.
Have you heard of his drama productions?
No, not exactly. I don't remember.
Go look on the Priya.
Yeah. Yeah. Long time, many several years ago.
New Vrindavan, maybe?
I with someone with Rathiatra in Toronto.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Great, very artistic, original, how do you say? Metteur en scène is the word in French. How do you say metteur en scène? Someone who directs, a director, a drama director. And there's one in particular called the Gita. And I remember that because I acted in it a couple of times. And I think I was Arjuna. And so there's this dramatic, just to echo your words, Vignesh Prabhu, there's this dramatic music in the background, the soundtrack with thunder and then Arjuna is like, sounding so scared and emotional. Please tell me who you are, and then and there's a big silence and then time I am. But it's interesting that I think that Krishna just like gets to the point and just gives one instruction, and that is fight. I'm God, fight, basically, right? I'm God, you're my servant, do what I'm telling you to do, right? It makes you think, in a weird way or in a not so connected way, but there's some resemblance. If you can summarize these two words of Krishna, or these, this statement of Krishna, I'm God, or time I am, but basically, I'm God, I'm supreme, and fight. In other words, you're my servant. There's that one story, that analogy, that anecdote that I think Satsarup Maharaj tells. Someone of these early disciples who were there at 22nd Avenue in New York City in 1966 mentioned how one new guy came one day and asked at the end of the first and only class he went to hear Prabhupada, can I get initiated? And Prabhupada said, and devotees were like, how dare he ask you to be initiated? Who is this guy? He's never been here before. And Prabhupada said, well, who is Krishna? Right? You heard that story? And the boy said, he's God.
Yes. Yeah.
And who are you? His servant. Okay, I'll give you initiation tomorrow, or I'll give you initiation now. So in a similar way, like he kept it really, really short and powerful. And in a way, we could claim that Krishna is doing the same thing here. He could have said so many things, right? Okay, let's talk about this notion of Anantarupa. So let's go to 1838 and let's read the purport. We haven't read any purport here. So let's go to 1838. And who would like to read the purport? Of course, verse and purport.
Okay, you are the original personality of it. You're the original personality, the Godhead. You're the only sanctuary of the manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you're all that is knowable. You are above the material world's all limitless form. The whole cosmic manifestation pervaded by you.
Uh-oh, I think we have to
Everything
wait.
is
No,
resting on the
okay. It's just that your connection was kind of going in and out, right? Wasn't it, Vignesh?
Yeah, that was some issue, network issue.
Perhaps we could ask Vignesh to read the purport.
okay.
Sure. Everything is resting on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, He is the ultimate rest. Nidhanam means that everything, even the Brahman effulgence, rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the knower of everything that is happening in this world. And if knowledge has any end, He is the end of all knowledge. Therefore, He is the known and the knowable. He is the object of knowledge because He is all pervading, because He is the cause in the spiritual world. He is transcendental. He is also the chief personality in the transcendental world.
So unfortunately, Prabhupada didn't elaborate so much on the word Anantarupa. Would you like to tell us what your thoughts are here, Vignesh? Well, I'll read it.
Yeah,
Can I read your answer?
sure.
Okay. So Vignesh says the word Anantarupa has two possible meanings. One meaning is infinite. Arjuna was just seeing Krishna everywhere in his universal form. He didn't find any end to that Vishvarupa. Since there is no end to that universal form, because Vishnu pervades everything by entering this world, and since the Lord, it's nice if you put the Lord, when you type just a small tiny thing. Since the Lord, it's not like, Bhagavan, like you don't say the Bhagavan, but it's always nice to put the before Lord. So anyway, and since the Lord is not limited to space, time, and object, he is known as Ananta. Another meaning of Ananta is countless or unlimited forms. Just as in Brahma Samhita, it's stated Advaitam Achyutam Ananta Anadim Ananta Rupam. Very good. Here it means that the Lord has innumerable forms. Just as we cannot measure the number of waves in the ocean, similarly one cannot measure the number of forms of the Lord. I don't find it self-contradictory. God can be infinite, all-pervading in his aspect of Brahman. Yet at the same time, God can have innumerable forms in his aspect of Bhagavan through his various expansion or his Vilas and Prakash manifestations. Yeah. I'll tell you why I kind of stopped on this verse is because I remember when I went back to university, I was at University of California in Santa Barbara, which is beautiful foothills right overseeing the Pacific Ocean, about 2 hours north of Los Angeles. And there's this Christian monastery that's up in the hills of these Santa Barbara mountain hills. You have to drive about a half hour, these winding roads and this beautiful sort of desert green vegetation. Like basically, there's a lot of trees and everything, but it's dry, so it's like very good for oranges or citruses, and anyway, beautiful weather. And they have sort of a place where guests can go and order some herbal tea and have this beautiful view and talk about God or whatever. So I remember I went there once with a devotee called Tripurari Prabhu, and he was about 2 or 3 years senior to me by initiation, and we had been brahmacharis together. He had also gone on distributing Prabhupada's books, on traveling Sankirtan, as we say, and he had decided to go back to university along with another devotee called Janaki Ram, with whom I was also roommate in the Los Angeles temple. And so about 2 years before I decided to go back to university, they were already in Santa Barbara, studying together, living together as roommates. And I remember we were just the three of us up there at that Christian monastery. And I'll always remember somehow Tripurari said, listen to this verse, and what do you think? And he was just like tripping out not tripping out, but just really meditating and trying to get into the meaning of this notion of Ananta Rupa. and which can seem, how can a form be unlimited, right? But you explained it nicely, Vignesh. That's the problem, maybe we could say, with many Muslims, with all due respect, who cannot accept the form of God. If God's form is spiritual by definition, then even though it's distinct, it has a distinct, shape and, 2 arms and that flute and the peacock feather and so on. Still, because it's all spiritual, it's all made of Brahman, it's all Satchit Ananda Vigraha. In that sense, it has no limit. It can be unlimited and yet still be distinct, right?
Even our Srimad Bhagavatam sums it up nicely with the help of the 3, Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagwan. So that actually gives a very good clarity on. Actually, it's very much whatever things which are apparently contradictory. I think we can reconcile with these 3 aspects: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan, which most of the times other Abrahamic religions generally may find it contradictory.
Nice. Okay, let's go to the next one. 1140. Maybe Vivekananda Priya, you can answer this one. So Arjuna tells Krishna that he is everything. Tatosi sarvaha. So if God is a person, how can he be everything? Isn't this verse the proof that the Advaita Vedantists are correct when they claim that the personhood of Krishna is only a facade for the quote-unquote everything beyond Krishna? Otherwise, why and how would or could Arjuna declare that Krishna, quote, is everything, unquote? When I posted my questions on Facebook, because I'm trying to, get new students, when you Prabhus are going to soon be gone. And so there was one Mataji, she's like, who wrote the question? Who wrote these questions? And I was like, I did. She's like, okay, I'm just checking. Because, this could be, I took it as a compliment. She thought that maybe some non-devotee or some Mayavadi wrote these questions. So what's your answer to this trick question?
Advocate.
Huh?
Being a devil's advocate.
I'm sorry, come again?
Being a devil's advocate. Prabhupada used to do it. Being a devil's advocate.
Ah, devil's advocate. So?
I think Mataji is muted.
Oh, are you muted? I think she's looking how to unmute. Vivekananda Priya, you're muted. Oh no, can you hear us at least? Can you put...
I'm good. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to my documents and I muted. Okay. I'd say if God is a person, how can he be everything? That's the question.
Yeah.
Okay. I just said, I think I just read something from Prabhupada via base. Prabhupada said Krishna is not an ordinary person. He's the source of everything. He's just like a theatrical actor when he appears as a human being. God was always a person. Only the Mayavadi says that God cannot have form and be a person. I think.
Very nice.
There was a conversation by Bhagavan. Prabhupada said, okay, where did I lose it now? I'm going crawling down. Okay, this is a conversation from Bhagavan Das. Prabhupada said, explaining how Krishna is everything. What is meant by object regaining spiritual qualities? The answer, Krishna is pure knowledge, and therefore he is a supreme person. He is a supreme power, and his power is manifested through his different energies as much as the power of fireplace expanded by heat. When we perceive heat and light, it means that we perceive it fireplace. The perception of Krishna as everything is actually Krishna consciousness. In our conditional state, we take it for granted. Some separated from Krishna, but actually it's not so. Nothing can be separated from Krishna. Everything is resting on Krishna. Therefore, things we now matter when dovetail for the cause of the absolute truth or regain its spiritual quality. Then there's another example. That actually it's not. Nothing can be separated from Krishna. Everything is resting on Krishna. Therefore, Krishna, which we now matter, that for the cause of absolute truth, one regains the spiritual quality. Another example may be cited in this is when we cook foodstuff in the kitchen for eating ourselves, it is sing for the foodstuff which is prepared and offered to Krishna. The dal rice is material for one purpose, but the same thing become
The same thing
when it
becomes?
dovetail with Krishna. Yeah. Spiritual. Yeah. When it dovetail for so on a higher platform than everything. Krishna, because everything is Krishna, because everything emanates from him.
I think you hit it right on the head. I think unless Vignesh has another point, I think that's the best explanation to explain this statement that you are everything. Technically, it's you are everything because everything emanates from you, right? You want to add anything else, Vignesh?
So I just mentioned that it's the same point, like all pervading, like when Krishna pervades everything, like that means like it is in me, it is in everyone, it is an insect and elephant. So I just remember that incident from Vishnu Puran, where Prahlad basically says, while worshipping, like glorifying Lord Nrsimhadev, that you are everything, therefore I am Vishnu. So he actually mentions that incident. So basically, even the scriptures often talk about in that apparently Mayavad tone, but that's actually not the case. So when Krishna is everywhere, he's also in me as an Antaratma. So he's like an innermost self. So in that sense, often we talk about that kind of apparently impersonal kind of tone. But this only means that Vishnu is all pervading. So he can be in everything and everyone. So that was one point that I mentioned, because you talk about Advaita Vedanta. So normally they misinterpret that. They normally say that it's like a complete equality of the Jiva and Brahma, but that is not the case. Just that Lord is present in us as an Antaratma. That's why scriptures do equate at times the Brahman itself with the Jiva, but that is not the complete understanding.
And so the complete understanding, summarize it again.
Yeah, summarizing, basically complete understanding is that Lord is within us. He's an Antaratma. So there are two, like we say, there are two self in our body. One is Jivatma and another is the Paramatma, like two birds in the tree. So there are two distinctions between the Jivatma and Paramatma. So that distinction is always there. But then when scriptures say that I am Brahman or like, I am Vishnu, they basically mean that Vishnu pervades everything, including us. In that sense, ultimately it's a glorification of Lord Vishnu only, not that ki Jivatma is Brahman. Ultimately, every scriptures are in that way glorifying Lord Vishnu.
For
Because
his
he's all
ability
pervading.
to be all pervading.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. You defeat the Mayavadi arguments very nicely.
Just one more point, like I just remember that was from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Like Stavara Jangama na dekhe, dekha tare murti, sarvatra hai nije istadeva spurti.
You know, that's a verse that Bhakti Charuswami used to quote a lot. Every time I hear that verse,
that is my favorite verse.
It's your favorite verse.
Yeah, because it connects a lot. Because it's all the same point, right? All pervading. I don't see anything else, but I just see you everywhere.
Do you know this
It is
verse?
more of a.
Do you know this verse, Golokananda Priya? Stavo Jankam Deke. Does that ring a bell? Oh no. Oops, I cursed. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you guys close your video? Can you close your video? Okay. So I don't hear you. Do you hear me? What's happening? I have a problem here because I don't hear you. I'm testing the speaker here.
Yeah,
Hello?
can you hear me? Too?
Okay, good. Somehow.
Yeah, you.
Yeah,
We don't see
let's keep it like this.
your.
Please stop your video, Vignesh Ji. Let's keep it from now on for the next 15 minutes without video because I'm using actually my hotspot and maybe, I don't know, I'm doubting maybe it's losing the
Internet.
data. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, we were supposed to hear sadhus and not see them anyway, so we're not missing much. And I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about you guys. So you were saying, Vignesh Ji.
We're talking about the word Bhakti Char Maharaj.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So and are you aware of that one, Golokananda Priya?
No, no. Yeah, you can tell me what the.
Okay, it's Madhya Lila, chapter 8, verse 274. Madhya
Eh,
8, 274. 8, 274. Starvar
274.
Jang, yeah, 8, and then, chapter 8, verse 274. Stavar Jangam
Okay.
Deke na deke tar murti sarvatra hoy nija ishtadev surti. Go ahead, Vignesh.
Yeah. So basically, it mentions that I don't see any moving or non-moving living entities. I just see Krishna everywhere. So when these such statements are basically spoken when a person closely identifies with Krishna as his dearmost object. Like we say, Ananya Mamta Vishnu. Like when it has a great amount of possessiveness for Krishna. Normally, we identify Krishna everywhere, and in that sense, like when gopis at times say that I am Krishna on that tone. It's more of a ecstasy, I would say. So in that sense, also it can be looked not just in a sense of being Brahman, like all pervading, at the same time, also being identifying with Krishna as a most dearest object in a self of in a way of possessiveness.
Let me share,
So that also.
since you came to this verse, keep your video off. I'm just gonna share one screen here. So this is the verse, and I wanna, you inspired me to read the purport, so we can read along. Okay, I'll read the translation and purport. The Mahabhagavat. So is Arjuna a Mahabhagavat?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, I think we have a problem with
Yeah, now I can hear you properly.
with my bandwidth. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with just reading. So, I mean, do we believe Arjuna is a Mahabhagavat? Simple question. Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So here's a translation. So please listen carefully because we don't have the visuals. The Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not see exactly their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Purport. Due to his deep ecstatic love for Krishna, the Mahabhagavat sees Krishna everywhere and nothing else. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santak Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. As soon as a devotee sees something, be it movable or inert, he immediately remembers Krishna. An advanced devotee is advanced in knowledge. This knowledge is very natural to a devotee, for he has already read the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, how to awaken Krishna consciousness. According to Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 7:8, O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man, unquote. Thus, it's actually very relevant that Vignesh referred to this verse to explain that statement by Arjuna, you are everything. Thus, when a devotee drinks water or any other liquid, including wine, you know how that, like Prabhupada told that there's a lecture or two where he says, even if you're drinking wine, if you think, oh, this wine is Krishna, then you can become Krishna conscious. Thus, when a devotee drinks water or any liquid, he immediately remembers Krishna. For a devotee, there is no difficulty in awakening Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Tarvar Jangam Deke Nadekitar Murti Sarvatra Hoy Nija Ishtadev Sfurti. Interesting, Prabhupada, in the purport of this verse, quotes this verse. A saintly person, an advanced devotee, sees Krishna 24 hours a day and nothing else. As far as movable and inert things are concerned, a devotee sees them all as transformations of Krishna's energy. That's the point, isn't it? The devotee sees them all as transformations of Krishna's energy. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kam mano bodhir evacha ahankara iti yamme binna prakritir ashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, all together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Actually, nothing is separate from Krishna. When a devotee sees a tree, he knows that the tree is a combination of 2 energies, material and spiritual. The inferior energy, which is material, forms the body of the tree. However, within the tree is the living entity, the spiritual spark, which is part and parcel of Krishna. This is the superior energy of Krishna within this world. Whatever living thing we see is simply a combination of these 2 energies. When an advanced devotee thinks of these energies, he immediately understands that they are manifestations of the Supreme Lord. As soon as we see the sun rise in the morning, we arise and set about doing our morning duties. Similarly, as soon as a devotee sees the energy of the Lord, he immediately remembers Lord Sri Krishna. This is explained in this verse, Sarvatra Hoy Nija Ishtadev Sfurti. A devotee who has purified his existence through devotional service sees only Krishna in every step of life. This is also explained in the next verse. And let's go to that. It's 11:245. Maybe one of you can read that. Can you guys go, or Prabhus, go to 11? Wow, it's a super long purport. My God. Super long. Anyway, let's just read the verse and then we'll quit and we'll stop. So either Vignesh or Golokananda Priya, if you have Srimad Bhagavatam 11:245 in front of you.
Yeah. Shri Havir said, the most advanced devotees see within everything the soul of all soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord.
Very nice. I think we'll have to continue on that stream next time. But just to quote one last verse in the same line, like that's the first verse that Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, right? Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere, you see, and everything, and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So yeah, that's definitely, like you say, the vision of the Mahabhagavat, and Arjuna being a Mahabhagavat. Now we can understand better why he would say, "You are everything," right? Not that he is everything in a sort of pantheistic or Advaita Vedanta sense, but like you said, because he's so in love with Krishna, he sees Krishna everywhere. He sees Krishna's energies everywhere, and those energies remind him of Krishna. So everywhere he looks, he sees Krishna. So in that sense, because of his deep devotion to Krishna, he's able to say, or she's able to say, "You are everything." Would that be a correct understanding?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I think that 7.19 also Krishna mentions Vasudeva Sarvamiti.
Vasudeva Saramiti, very good point.
Yes.
Okay, Prabhus, let's do a little 3 minutes of Maha Mantra Kirtan, and we'll leave it at that. Ready? I'll mute you. Oh, yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Pramanande. All right, Prabhus, thank you for your Sangha, and I hope we have a great week and that we stay together by chanting the holy name nicely every day. And
Thank you, Prabhu.
let us meet again in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Jai.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. All goes to Prabhupada.